Hello, hello, everyone, and
Hello.
welcome. Uh, we just got spontaneously inspired to hop on, and we thought there's an important topic to talk about. So we're gonna start talking about some good stuff. Um, let's just dive into the topic because we want to keep this not as our typical length, but keep it a little more short and sweet. So anxiety is the topic for today. Uh, and as I fidget, because I have no anxiety, anxiety has been an interesting thing. Is everybody's got their things to carry as part of their journey, and anxiety has been a wonderful character in mine, a role playing character in mine. So yeah, anxiety is something that I've I don't want to use the word battle because
Because when somebody says the word battle, someone else does tend to pipe up a little bit.
a
So
little bit piping up. Let's say that I have endeavored to
experience.
experience anxiety throughout my lifetime, and I have come a long way. Um, so, uh, so yes, talking about anxiety today, I think, is crucial. Some of the things I've noticed within myself is it's general for me. And I tend to have experiences that people find incredibly non anxiety provoking. And I will be like extremely anxious about it. So it's interesting to see. We knew at some point we would be talking about anxiety. So, welcome,
So I
Javon.
sprang it on you today so you didn't have time to be anxious about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, we started having conversations a while ago about anxiety, and I have like 7 different topics coming to mind on what to talk about. But experiencing anxiety is an interesting thing. Some people have a tendency, which I noticed in the past that I had a tendency to do. Now I'm much more aware of it. Is a sense of identifying as somebody who's anxious or taking it and labeling it essentially as a possession, saying like my anxiety. It's not a pet. Like I don't take my anxiety for walks or play with my anxiety today. Like it's an emotion or an experience that I have, and it's a buildup of energy.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've learned in my time with with anxiety, but also with psychology, is that there are many emotions that have a heightened level of arousal, and these emotions can be misinterpreted as each other's emotions. So somebody can experience anxiety or experience something that's like anxiety, nervousness or excitement, and then they label it as anxiety. But one of the things that I think helped me along the way is not claiming it to be mine. Because as soon as I was claiming it to be my thing, then it created this identity with it and it made it part of who I am. Because I almost carried it around like a badge of pride, or, when uh, some sort of wound kind of thing that I carried around. It's like, yeah, I have to deal with anxiety. And it's like everybody feels anxiety at some point in their life. Everybody feels it, but it doesn't have to be yours, right? So I caught myself every time I said my anxiety. I went, no, no, my experience of it, my emotion, my worry, my fear. So, but it could be all sorts of things based on the level of arousal. So I noticed that about myself, but I also had a recent experience that kind of surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to have on a day-to-day basis like a low hum of some sort of energy within me that I will from time to time label as anxiety. And it just pops out for any reason, anything. It's not involved. It's not a set phobia or whatever it may be. If I have to connect with somebody that I'm not comfortable connecting with, then it creates anxiety. I'm not anxious when it comes to presentations. I get nervous, but that's like a low grade sort of experience. But recently I went on a short road trip, a couple hour drive. And while I was driving, I was very close to my destination, about 15 minutes away or so, when I was on a highway. And suddenly I heard this loud bang and this very, very loud sort of sound that made me think that something underneath my car was dragging. And I didn't panic. Like, I was calm and composed. I pulled over. I got out of my car and I tried to check things at a safe distance. Nothing on my dash was lit up. My car is fairly new. And I was just puzzled. So I called Sheila and I was like, I'm on the side of the highway. Here's what happened. And then I'm like, I think this is all that I need to do. It's like my tires. I thought maybe tires, but I, discreetly and hurriedly sort of ran around and poked each tire and said, like, all of them are firm. Nothing looks flat. I looked underneath the car from the side, and I knew, based on knowledge that I kind of absorbed along the way, was, don't go into the front of the vehicle and, look underneath there, and don't hang out at the back of the vehicle. Just stick to the side away from the vehicle. So I did that. And then I said, maybe I'll drive along the edge of the highway very slowly and see if I hear anything, because I couldn't see anything. Nothing was showing anything was hanging or anything. And luckily I was close enough to my friend's place that she guided me to the nearest exit, and there happened to be a carpool lot there. So that's where I headed. But as soon as I picked up speed, I heard that sound again. I was like, I don't know what this sound is. And when you can't identify a particular sound, your mind creates all these particular things that says, what if it's this, or could it be that? And again, I wasn't doing that. I was trying to create some sort of understanding of, like, should I keep driving or should I pull over? But I happened to stop right by a bridge, so I had to keep going. So I went and pulled off of the highway and went into this lot, whole time calm. And my friend comes to meet with me, and we take a peek in the front of the car. And there's a little aluminum sheet that covers, in newer vehicles, that covers underneath the car. And, people take it down when they do an oil change. But that sheet fell, and that's what was dragging. But I couldn't see it from the side of the vehicle because the tires. So I was calm, and we were, my friend and I were sitting there going, we need tape. And I was like, I don't have any tape. We need duct tape. And she's like, I don't have any. So I was like, well, I have an emergency kit. So I'm just going to check that by fluke. And it had duct tape. So I got underneath my car and I taped it. But the whole time I was calm. Like, Sheila, while I was on the phone with her, she's like, can you take a moment and just realize how calm you are right now? That you're not freaking out, because normally I'll freak out about everything. And I said, that's interesting. And then, my friend was like, how are you not freaking out? I was like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't feel the need to worry about it.
Yeah.
So it surprised me and after everything had calmed down, and I went to my friend's place, and eventually we got it fixed the next day, and everything was good. Prior to that timing of, like, when I was at my friend's place and before it got fixed, that's when the anxiety came back and started saying, well, what about this? Or what if that? Or what? Like, and everything was fine. I was perfectly safe. Car, it was a minimal thing. And I just kept thinking all sorts of different scenarios, or what if it's going to cost me more money or whatever. And I got it fixed for free. So, like, all these things worked out beautifully for it. But it wasn't during the time where people you would think would have anxiety. under an actual stress response, you're on a highway and your car does something that you got to pull off the highway quickly and safely. And I was calm the entire time. And then I reflected back in my life, and I'm like, I've had other sort of emergency situations where I have been very, very calm, where I've just been like, okay, this is what we got to do, call 911, do all these things, and then let it go. And I was like, it's like two different people. One person who's very composed and another person who freaks out about the silliest things. And like it makes no sense, but in an aspect, it's like, because I spend all my time, or a lot of my time, worrying about all sorts of things, it's like the moment that there needs to be some sort of acknowledgement, or like people would be like, yeah, you it makes sense that you would feel anxious in this circumstance. It's like I've already prepared, because I'm already, like, I had a safety kit in my car, I had duct tape, I listened to random facts about car safety. I took a car course when I got my car because I was anxious, like all these things, and I was fine. So it intrigues me that we create these moments of anxiety and they don't need to be there. But when they are reasonable to be there in these circumstances, it's not there for me. So I was really surprised by that when that happened. And it's gotten me thinking about, well, why can't it be like that during the rest of my days? Like, why do I need to create this sort of unnecessary struggle within myself to do it? And I know this is a sensitive topic for people, that people are like, well, I don't choose to be anxious. I'm somebody who experiences this. And I think in some ways we can take approaches to soften it and allow ourselves to say, is it happening right now? The thing that we are dreading, is it happening right now? And in the case of the car, it was, but I wasn't anxious. So I was like, there's a little bit of a wiring sort of thing going on in my brain that says, like, maybe we just switch those wires. But I think I'd rather be extremely calm in an emergency situation, because it kept me safe, right? So I don't know. I've been talking a lot. Sheila, your turn.
Thank you. I did put up my hand. I don't think you even saw, because there's a lot there. And I think we are definitely acknowledging that for many people, this is part of their reality. And I'm not poking as much fun at you as I normally do, because I don't want anyone to take offense. And when I do ask you or point out that you're kind of choosing this right now, like all of these thoughts and this tension and the vibration that's getting, more heightened, there is no reason right now. You are choosing that. And you get really mad at me. You really do. Because you are pretty clear about the fact that you wouldn't choose to feel this way. And you don't appreciate me pointing out, well, actually, right now you are doing that. And so I think that there can be obviously a nicer way of doing it, which I also use. We'll put that for the record in case anyone is keeping track. But I do think it's so important. Like you talked for 19 minutes. So I'm just going to put that out there. I
19.
Can't possibly go back and read that on everything. All right, 13 minutes and 50 seconds. So I didn't make as many notes as I normally do, but you made so many really great points. I'm not just looking to have a rebuttal, but to go back to the beginning, I think it's fantastic that you are saying to connect it to who you are. Like I am someone who has anxiety. I am an anxious person. I always get anxious. I suffer from anxiety. Like these are phrases that we get really used to. And in these days where mental health is getting the spotlight shone on it because so many people do not have the support that they need to find the whatever that balance is that's best for them, I do think it's important that it not have any stigma, no judgment. And if someone feels this way, to make sure that it is being acknowledged and they are receiving whatever tools they need to feel the way they want to feel. And for us not to assume that we know how people want to feel either, right? So to just let everybody own that. for you, you have expressed to me that you would prefer not to have some of these feelings. Like if you're parking your car, it has to be a very specific way because you run through your mind, well, what if that guy hits me and this is too close? And it, this is the way that feels best for me. And you've established that comfort level. And that one time that I was allowed to drive your car and I just parked, I said, yeah, it's good. And you're like, actually, could you repark it? And I'm just like, I'm just going to get out and let you do it because I know that you want it done the way you want it. So there are these moments where it is kind of fun to poke fun at it. And then there are times when I give you as much space and support as possible because obviously when you are feeling emotions, they are real. You're not making up the emotions. Sometimes I think some people may make up the situation that they're feeling the emotions. And that's where we were talking about earlier of when you are preparing for everything and wondering about all the things that could go wrong. I always have the saying, like, use your imagination for good, not evil. Because when you are imagining all the things that could go wrong in some future timeline that isn't here, you really are creating that out of nothing because you could spend just as much time and effort imagining how it could have ease and flow. Or you could just think nothing about it and just think, oh, well, when it comes, if anything happens, then I'll deal with it in the moment.
Yeah.
And so often, of course, anxiety is tied to that feeling of safety or security. And there is that belief, well, but if I prepare for all of the possible scenarios that are terrible, I mean, I'm not even going to acknowledge that it might just be fine because I'm going to be prepared for all the things that could go wrong, then that's going to keep me safe. And an argument might be made that the only reason why you had duct tape in the car was because you had been worried at an earlier time and you made sure to get that safety kit. And you made sure to go get the car training and all of the rest. And so that could be true. And yet it also could have been okay that you didn't have duct tape. Your friend would have just driven somewhere, bought some duct tape and come back. Do you know what I mean? Like it could have been dealt with in the moment if that's what was required. So I think it's important not to hold on to that and say, well, see, it only worked out because I had so much worry about it in the past. And I know some people might do that. Like I used to be like that. I've never had kind of that same attachment to anxiety, but I was definitely a worst case preparer. I needed to imagine all the things that could go wrong and make sure I had everything that I would possibly need to help in that situation. And then I could be okay. But it doesn't really work like that in life.
Well, I mean, there's a certain level of preparation, I think, that's important. But the idea here that I think is really important to highlight over and over again is that it's not our identity, like, because that's huge. And I, because I was nervous about having a car, I took a car course. And because I was nervous about having a car, I got an emergency kit. And I think those are great decisions, but it's not even about the decision. It's about what's propelling you. Because if somebody was like, well, it's smart to have car knowledge, I doubt anything will happen, but it's probably good to equip myself with that knowledge. So maybe I'll take a course for fun. Whereas what's driving me to take the course was so that I wasn't anxious about having my car. The same thing applies to the kit itself. It makes sense to have a kit. But again, what was driving me? I was fearful, so that's an important thing, I think, to identify is that you can do the same action. Like two people can do the exact same action, but what's propelling them can create struggle for a person or not.
Yeah.
Like if, and this scenario here, Sheila and I are like night and day because I'm like a little like vibrating thing that just like says like, everything is crazy, everything's gonna go wrong, and then she's like, can you breathe? So it's just interesting to see that sort of experience where it's like, what's driving me in my day to day, and it's much less than before. Like before, I was very much driven by fear. And now I'm like, am I doing this because it's fun? Am I doing this because it's, I'm interested or I'm curious? And it's like, I'm curious about learning about cars, and I really am. Like, I watched the person who fixed my car and got underneath my car and got an understanding of it. And that was fun. So I like learning about things like that. But if I'm doing something because I'm ensuring that, in case the worst happens, I'm just sitting in this energy of creating all these possible experiences in my mind. And whether they come to fruition or not doesn't really matter. It's that I'm creating a stress response in my body each time I think about something that isn't happening now.
And that's so important, because with the brilliance of our bodies, it will physically react to the emotions that you're creating. And that's what so many people don't seem to understand, that your body does not know if it's really happening or if it's in your imagination. And so with all of the stress hormones, the cortisol, the adrenals, everything is being activated. And that can create a lot of imbalance in your body, as opposed to allowing yourself to produce all the feel-good ones without, in any condition. And I love, if you want to at any point pull the comments over, like Javona says that she takes her anxiety dancing. And so she's allowing herself to notice, oh, I've got this feeling. Maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's a bit of nervous excitement, something in that realm, but it feels like it will feel better to move my body and to dance and to find the joy in it. And letting your body know we're okay, we are safe.
Yeah, exactly. And it happens very, very rarely. But rarely will I have an actual panic attack. And I had a couple in the recent past that just came out of nowhere, and they came from me like creating something. Literally was panicked about, something that isn't likely to happen. It's a possibility, but isn't likely to happen. And then I started feeding that idea with anything that was confirming, and it escalated very, very quickly. So I remember I called a friend who lives in the UK, and she was like, do something, go for a run. I was like, you don't know me, I don't run. So it's like, not a run. So I thought push-ups. So I started doing push-ups, and she's like, count out loud. And I was like, okay. And then it wasn't enough. So then I was like, jumping jacks, and they call them star jumps in the UK, which makes them sound much more fun. So I did star jumps. And it got my heart rate going. And the idea works because your body is like, life is threatened in this very moment because of something you created in your imagination. And you need to engage in something that says that you are fighting or flying or fleeing, or something that says that you're engaging your system. So it chills out and says, okay, threat is averted. So I did as many jumping jacks in a row as I possibly could. And it calmed me, it calmed me. She's like, is your heart racing now and breathing now because of what you just did, or is it still the anxiety? I said, no, I tired myself out because I used that energy. So Javona dancing, it's the same idea, is taking that, because it's just energy that needs to be expressed. Anger's the same way, excitement, like anything that's high arousal energy is looking for expression, and however you choose to express it, it usually, hopefully, is in a positive way, or something that is, beneficial for you. So, I mean, before I used to do boxing, and that was fun because I didn't have anything where I needed to punch anyone, but it exerted enough energy that it actually kept my level of anxiety very, very low. So that was helpful. So it's engaging in these types of behaviors and knowing that what is happening in the present moment is you are going through a scenario in your head that is very much possible, but isn't happening right now. So why are you creating the energy around it like it is?
Yeah.
So
And it's funny how when it's a positive feeling, when you're excited about something, you've just had amazing news, to jump around, to scream, to punch your arms in the air and to dance, all that feels fairly normal and expected.
Yeah.
And yet, to offer those same tools to yourself when you are feeling that way, it's brilliant advice. But of course, we don't hear that that's okay to do. So we feel like we're supposed to turtle and bottle it all up. And then it often does explode in some way. And that doesn't feel good.
Yep, totally. And it creates these experiences. Like when I'm in the depths of it, it is harder for me to hear it.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that there are a lot of tools that you can use to remind yourself, like when it's really intense, like engaging all of your senses, doing something active, like these are all important, and there's evidence of it. If you're the type who experiences anxiety very often, I mean, you could choose to add meditation or mindfulness as part of your daily regimen. And the work I do, it allows for me to center often. So that's part of my day-to-day stuff. But one of the biggest things, which I'll show here on the comment, is like, don't let it become your identity, because that's just giving it power. It's much better to say, I'm a happy person, or I'm a person who's usually excited, or whatever it may be, because that doesn't feel bad in your body. And by identifying something, hey lady, let me finish my comment. By identifying something as part of you, it's like you're telling your cells, be this way, like be fearful, be scared, or be light, be happy, because that's the energy that you're carrying. So go ahead and make your comment.
Well, my comment is that I think it could be even better to not identify yourself with any of those emotions.
Fair.
And simply be you. And I am someone who sometimes feels sad. I am sometimes, someone who feels happy. Sometimes people, a great friend of mine, a counselor that she went to, would put sticky notes like sadness, happy, and like I'm wearing my sadness today, but I can also choose to take it off.
Yep.
To not feel as if any of these are entwined with who you are. You simply are you. You are neither good nor bad, happy nor sad. You are you. You're always just connected to that source of you. And we could take that even further if we wanted to go all spiritually and say that you are unconditional love within yourself. It's just sometimes you feel these other feelings, like you experience them, you wear them. And you can take them off. And I think that's why I like meditation, is that it allows me to take off all the Post-it notes. I don't have to be anything. I don't have to say anything. I can just be right here in myself. And all I have to do is breathe. That's all. And I don't have to do anything to breathe. I can allow breathing and just enjoy that. For some people, though, meditation does not feel good. It makes them more attuned to the racing thoughts, and other tools can serve them better, at least until they feel a little bit different and then might want to try it again. But I know a lot of people, meditation does not fit well with where they're at right now. I used to be like that as well. And now I love it because I have found that place where I like that stillness.
Yes. And it's an important thing to note that, like, people, when they assume meditate, and we can do a whole other call on this with meditation, is people assume that meditation is only, sitting in a particular position, your eyes closed, and being in silence. Meditation is mindfulness, and there are varying degrees of it. So being very attentive while you eat and savoring every bite, paying attention to what it feels like to wash your dishes and how the bubbles feel on your hands, or how it feels to wash a dish, or whatever it means. It's really slowing down and coming back to the now moment. That's the point of meditation, and you don't need to use meditation to come back to the now. But it is a great tool to use.
Well, so many people in the shower just concentrating on the water touching your skin and just noticing the temperature and noticing that the pressure feels good and noticing that you can't really hear a lot around you because you're only hearing the water. For a lot of people driving, right? You're not really busy. I mean, you could be having a very busy mind while you're driving, but so often it is easier to just calm the mind down, noticing the road, just looking around. You're almost driving on autopilot because you're in that comfortable position and you're allowing the thoughts to just subside for that moment because you are taking in everything about the drive. And it is beautiful for people to understand that, yes, when they're doing that, it is the same benefit. Now, that's not the same as, I'm blasting my music and I'm singing and I'm worrying about what's for dinner. That's not the same. It's when you're going for those types of drives where you're just allowing everything to slow down within your mind.
Yep. And driving is great for that because it preoccupies an aspect of your mind, especially if you're not well versed in it. Is any task that you can do that you're not skilled to the extent of like years and years upon doing it, it's going to preoccupy your mind. And when it does that, it's going to take the power away from your thoughts that are filled with anxiety. So anything to distract yourself is a great approach. And it's not the same as watching, something on Netflix or whatever it may be, because that's great. That's a distraction. But as soon as you come out of it, you're going to go back to the anxiety.
Yeah.
But if you're engaging in a particular task or a skill set that's preoccupying your mind, you're still going to be ruminating, but it's going to be different. It's going to be rumination in a sense that you are preoccupying some of your mental capacity to engage in that skill set, and then it's allowing you to slow down. One of the reasons I love drawing is it actually calms me. So I will draw, and because it preoccupies my mind and I get distracted about drawing something rather than, suddenly dying or something, whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, that's always a better one. A lot of people, I was going to say women, but it's people obviously in general, crocheting, knitting, it's because it is, you have to pay just enough attention, but you can do it fairly automatically and everything can just calm a little bit more in your mind. So yeah. You want to take a look at some more of these comments? Because I'm loving what's coming through. Thanks for everybody for contributing.
Yes, I love this comment from Travis here. It's an Alan Watts quote. So no amount of anxiety will make any difference to anything that's going to happen. And that's beautiful in a sense that how you're talking about is like, I will create scenarios in my mind that are possible, but they're not happening. So why am I feeding them? And, if I'm prepared, so that's one of the things. If you need to prepare in some capacity when something is making you anxious, then prepare and then let it go so that you can move on.
Can we bring up, like you had a storm there a few days ago, or there was a storm forecast and you made a comment to me, well, let's hope I have power when I get home. And I jumped all over that. Is like, seriously, you're not even there. And you're going to assume that because there was a time that there was a storm and you didn't have power, that now you're not going to have power. And I was right to jump all over that because you got home and you were just fine. The power was fine. The storm didn't even happen because it blew over the other direction. Now, what did I say though? I said, do you have some battery packs ready just in case? So you'll have your phone and communication and all the rest. Yes, you did. And you were good. You were completely good.
Yep. And I mean, yesterday we had a ton of rain and I ended up driving in that and I couldn't see. And again, just like the other car time, I was very, very calm. And in that situation, it made me laugh. But as soon as I parked, then I got shaky and nervous and all those things because I was worried about like what could happen. I was like, nothing's happening. It's now raining very hard. And I was fortunate not to have anything bad happen beyond having like an anxious response to, a lot of rain and hail.
Yeah.
So,
can I just keep interrupting a little bit here though, because I feel like you need to take a breath. And I I love the fact that you got a little bit shaky after you'd parked the car. You decided, I do not want to be driving where I cannot even see. My wipers can't keep up with it. I'm going to pull over so that I know I'm safe. And then you had a very normal adrenaline response. You were calm while you were driving. You knew you wanted to pull over. You did pull over. You were safe, and you did have a natural response. And we are not judging that at all. In fact, I wouldn't even call that anxiety in the way that we started our conversation. I think that is a very normal survival instinct in our body. Now, you did know you were calm, and you maybe could have gotten even calmer quicker because the old habits you did let your imagination go, like, how am I going to get home? And what if this doesn't end? And that questioning pattern still is there for you, but you handled everything exactly as you could have in that moment. And just in case people are thinking that I'm not sympathetic or empathetic to your situation, I hate driving in the rain. I would have been terrified, and I would have pulled over the second it started raining like that, because I get very nervous driving where I can't see the roads. And whether that's from years of driving on ice and snow and you can't see the edge and your brakes don't work, like, I've got it in my own head. That's my big source of anxiety. And I know that about myself. And I also choose not to live where there's ice and snow as much as possible, because I know that I'm a good driver. And yet there is that sense of distrust in those situations, right? And that's what it always is, am I going to be safe? That's the ultimate question for anxiety. And so I love how you responded in that rain situation, because it was very practical. It was very sensible. Taking precautions and staying safe is not anxiety, right? It's exactly how we need to live our life. And we don't want to, who knows what happens in the rainstorm, because we can't actually see. It makes sense to be able to see while driving, is what I'm saying, in a very roundabout way.
And the thing that this is another sort of surprise for me, in a sense that, like, I say that Sheila and I are night and day, because I'm typically humming with some sort of anxiety, and she's not. But I'm fine driving in the rain. Like, it could be pouring a ton, and we took a trip recently where it was raining a lot, and I was super chill and just going, I can see enough that I know what I'm doing. I was on the highway. But ever since the thing happened with the car, then I've just been on edge about going over any bumps, it created this level of anxiety in me that now I'm nervous about all these things, and it'll fade. So a couple of comments in the chat that we should get to. One is Tabitha here. Tabitha, you should be in bed, but I love that you're here. She suggests walking in nature and taking it all in is a great way for her to meditate. And I agree. I think, like, grounding and being in a meditative state, or just going around nature. And I like to sit down on the earth, or put my feet to the earth, and just connect. Like, I think that creates just this sort of grounding. And I mean, there's energy associated. Like, the earth has energy, and there's the Schumann resonance and all that stuff, but you feel calmer just by connecting to it. At least I do. So I think this is a great suggestion. So Julie, your question got chopped into two little bits. So I will just talk about it. And the idea is that she knows somebody who has a lot of anxiety, and the just noticing what the other comments are. Anyways, there are a lot that this person has a lot of anxiety, and she's attempted to remind this person to breathe and slow down, and that he's creating experiences to be very negative and unnecessarily, and can involve other people with him. So is there anything that we can suggest beyond what we've suggested? So I try to think of, one of the times that I had a sort of response, and it was very late, and she was in a different time zone. So I called her, or I told her to call me when I was having a panic attack recently. And the thing that she just kept saying over and over again was breathe. So, and I wasn't breathing. Like, I was breathing, obviously, but I wasn't taking deep breaths. And she kept reminding me. And wonderful person Sheila sent me a weighted blanket. She's like, where is it? Literally that day I had received the weighted blanket. So the timing couldn't be any more perfect. And she's like, grab it and put it on you. So for some people who have anxiety, having pressure in a particular area, for me, it's the chest, actually calms me. That's why I like somebody to hug me or like squish me. If it's really bad, or like the weighted blanket and just throwing it on me and just allowing that pressure to be there, right? So finding things that are kinesthetic, you know, it's a silly sort of thing, but when anxiety was really bad for me, I was crocheting and I was knitting, and it sounds like a silly thing, but I think it makes all the difference in a sense that it does engage your mind enough to distract you. And I was, this was about a decade ago, and I was in a really rough place, and I couldn't do anything without like just being completely emotional. And I remember putting on Friends, very big fan of the Friends TV show, and crocheting or knitting. And that kept me at most peace as possible in that situation. So thinking about things, creating new hobbies, reminding yourself objectively what is real in this now moment, so having that awareness that what's happening is not real right now. Anything is possible, but you're feeding or engaging with an idea that isn't in your current reality. So, and yes, Julie, it would be a lovely gift for this person. So, yeah. And like, you don't even have to get like a full size one. Sheila was smart. She got me one that was smaller. So I kind of use it as a throw now. And like, it doesn't take up the entire bed, but if I need it, then it's there for me to put it on. So, and Tabitha watches Friends, so that's good. I know we have other things in common too.
Well, I love that Travis says that cats are anti-anxiety. Get and pet a cat. And
Yes.
at the last pet sit that I was at, every morning as part of our routine, and this is maybe why I'm such a calm person, is the cat, very heavy, called Hunk, and he was quite a hunk, would sit on my chest, and then I could pet him with both hands. And it was just a beautiful way to start the day, because he'd be happy and purring. I would have that weight there. It does feel very comforting. And then to have the petting and the fur and the softness and just feel that connection, it really was fun. I didn't always love that it was at 5:15 or so in the morning, but just what a great way to start the day early. So I accepted it and appreciated it. But
yeah,
it's an interesting topic. I'm sure that we could talk a lot more. I think we're getting close to the end for today.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to thank Danay for being willing to be open about it, because I did suggest this topic because I know how many people do experience what they would call anxiety. Sometimes it's for just certain situations, and sometimes it is kind of just all the time, where you're always scanning. Am I safe? Am I safe? What do I need to be looking out for? What more questions should I be asking to make sure that I'm safe? What more scenarios should I be imagining? And it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Right? It's exhausting. Yeah. And if we can offer anything at any point for people to find some ease with that, I think it's worthwhile.
Here's an interesting thing. And I'll have anxiety with all sorts of things, but one of the ones that creates a lot of anxiety for me is decision making. And we did a live on decisions, and Sheila and I recently ran a course. And then she was saying that we'll do like a 10-day course on decisions. And I said, yeah, and each client will have to pick the number of days. They'll have to decide how many days to attend. But Sheila, you want to tell them about the course that we're doing on Sunday?
Well, it does turn out, and I love that this comes up, because decisions have played a really big role in our individual lives lately. And so again, this is makes it feel even better that we get to not only run the course, but take the course alongside everyone who joins us. But we do have the course running on Sunday. It's a nice, quick, short 2-hour 90-minute call. This one's a 90-minute call. Sometimes you find the 2 hours on a Sunday is a bit too much. So 90 minutes. And I think it's at noon Eastern time. It's only $15 to register. So we're pretty excited that people who are called will join us. And we're going to discuss some of these processes of how to make aligned decisions that feel choiceless. And I think we're going to have some different ideas than what some people might think of when it comes to making decisions. There will not be any pro-con list brought up, other than for me to say that that's what my dad taught me to do, and I no longer do that.
No, God, no. That's not a list. And people will get insight into a recent experience of mine that I battled with and had anxiety about. So,
tell me again about what happened.
Oh God, that I had an experience with, and the language. We're gonna do another live about the power of words. Don't worry, that one's coming.
There is, yes. So
yes, and so we don't want to keep this one too long. And Sheila's so much in demand that she's got another client lined up. So we want to make sure she's got time before her next call.
Perfect. Thank you.
Beautiful opportunity to share. And I did have some anxiety while I was talking. I could feel it. So that's why she told me to take a breath.
Yeah.
But I'm good. And I understand. I think it's important when we talk about a topic like this, because I deal with it firsthand. I have the experience with it firsthand, that I know what it's like, and I know, and I'm very confident that I can shift it. So, and I'm doing.
You have already shifted it, and you know that there's a little bit more, because you would enjoy feeling even better.
Yep. So, and it's very much possible. I know it's in that realm, and I keep getting calmer and calmer each day.
You do. It's fun.
Pleasure.
So if anybody wants to join us, we'll drop the link for the Sunday course in the YouTube video replay comments. And we're having fun with this. I think next time maybe a lighter topic, because I kind of missed being able to bug you about more things. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll pick. Yeah, maybe the power of words would be the best one, because we can play about that. So, but this was good, and I'm very good with speaking about it. So, thank you for the beautiful comments. I love that you attend and have your insights to share as well. So thank you so much, everyone. Sheila, always a pleasure, and looking forward to connecting on the next call. Stay tuned. Lovely, lovely people, because we're going to keep doing these. These are a lot of fun. So.
Awesome. All right. Have a fabulous day wherever you are.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.